What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Hope everybody's having a great day or night whenever you're watching this. I want to talk a little bit about Brandon Miller on the Charlotte Hornets, rookie forward. I think he's really been kind of impressive in his rookie season. You know, he's going to have some inconsistencies, but for the most part, he's actually played pretty good basketball, and he's kind of gone under the radar. And I want to kind of give him some shine and kind of allude to what I think he could be in his future. Before I do, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. If you enjoy this kind of content, please like the video, but let's give B. Millie some love. And everything nowadays is so hot take-ish, and as soon as he got drafted number 2 over Scoot Henderson, there's a whole bunch of people clowning the Hornets, and I really never understood it because two guard lineups, two guard, duos really just don't work in the NBA. It always made more sense to take a young wing who could fit with LaMelo long term, that has a lot of high potential and actually complements him. So I just want to put that idea to bed, that I always thought Brandon was going to be a better fit with Charlotte than Scoot, because eventually you just would have had to trade Scoot or LaMelo. It just doesn't work that way. Look at the Kings. But anyway, Miller, this season, the last 5 of his last 7 games, he's got over 20 plus points. And he's got some games against Philly, games against the Timberwolves, like good defenses with good wings that can defend him, and he's played really well. Right now he's cooking against the Knicks. I know he was at like 15 or 16 points at the half. Solid game so far, and that one's still kind of going. 37% from 3. A lot of times you see these young guys come in, and what is one of the two things they struggle with is shooting or defense, and he's been a pretty damn good shooter. And he was kind of advertised as such, but sometimes you see these guys come from college or the G League, and they were good shooters there, but then you get to that NBA line and it's just doesn't always hit the same. So he's been pretty effective as an offensive scorer. The floater has been really nice. He gets inside that free throw line. Little floater action's been nice. Finishing's been pretty good. He's a long, lengthy forward, and that is something that is so desired in the NBA because he's so raw with all his other tools, like the handle and the creation. Like, those are things that he can only get so much better at, and he has natural raw talents where he's already pretty decent at it. He could really get even better. So a question I have to you guys is, whose game does he remind you of? I'll give you my answer in just a second. I think there's a few players you could probably go with, but honestly, he reminds me a ton of like a younger Paul George. Just got the same kind of physique, body type, and he's a good shooter, improving defender. You know, it takes time to learn the NBA defense and how teams are going to play, even the lack thereof for defense nowadays. But like he reminds me a lot of him. The 3-point shot, the handle, like the silkiness that he kind of has to him, that it's not quite fine-tuned yet, so it's not Paul George level, of course. But like, you could see the makings of it kind of sprinkled throughout his game. And I think he actually, I don't know if he was trolling or not. I think he said Paul George is like the greatest player of all time when he was coming out of the draft. And obviously I do not believe that, but I'm a big Paul George guy, and he reminds me a ton of him, just the way they play. If you watch the highlights, those two, you could put them side by side and you almost think that they're identical. And I think it's kind of Paul George is the polished version, and Brandon Miller is a raw version that looks very similar. And while his assist numbers, they're not gaudy or like anything to really like look at, I think his assist numbers, and particularly all of his statistics, will come as the team gets better, right? He's going to grow and develop in the NBA, and he's already showing that he can do that at the level that he's at right now. You'll see, when he has better players to pass the ball to, when he's kicking out to better players, and the team is kind of a little bit more experienced, that those numbers will go. They'll go up. And ultimately, the thing he's going to be in the NBA is an elite scorer. It's all over the blueprint for him, just because he has the floater, he can shoot the mid-range, he can shoot the 3 off the dribble, he can spot up. All those things point towards being a good scorer. So ultimately, give it 2-3 years, he's going to be a guy that's averaging 24, 25 plus points per game. And it won't come as a surprise to me, and it shouldn't to you, because he's a natural scorer. And I think as his rookie season goes, right, he's going to start getting more and more touches so long as he stays healthy. We're in the middle of, we're about to be in the end of January right now. He's going to have February, March, and April, and that's where you see the young tanking teams that aren't contending for anything start to just usher the ball to their young players, the prize picks more, to see what they really got in them. So I think as this rookie season goes along, his numbers will go up. His efficiency may kind of stay where it's at or go down, just because the volume will be very high. But you'll get to see like all the flashes that you want to see out of a young forward, and he's already shown them at, up to this point in the season, but you'll see more and more and more of them. And these last 5 out of the last 7 games, 20+ points. You're going to see a lot more 20+ point games. You're going to see more games with 3, 4, and 5 threes. He's just trending the right way, and that is something that Charlotte hasn't had for a long time. Outside of LaMelo, they really haven't had people trend the right direction. And he looks like one of those franchise cornerstones that could really be an elite player one day. And I don't think he gets enough credit because they didn't take Scoot, and I think Scoot's going to be a great player. Takes a long time for these young guys to figure it out. It's not the easiest thing in the world to come in and play point guard or come in and play 3-and-D wing, and you got to cover Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, all of these juggernauts every single night. That stuff's not easy. And I think we're spoiled by like Luka and Wemby, and there's other guys too where they're just like insanely good as rookies. And I think that like we set that expectation that growth isn't like straight up. It's not linear. You're gonna have ups and downs and ups and downs, but ultimately where you finish is what matters. And Brandon Miller looks to be one of those guys that when he's finished developing is going to be an awesome all-star level, all-NBA, possibly level player. But let me know in the comments how you're feeling about Brandon Miller's rookie season. Sure, there's been some ups, there's been some downs, but I think he's overall been very promising. Lately, he's really been turning it on, and I think as the season goes, we're going to see more and more of it. Reminds me a ton of Paul George. Give me your player comp in the comments, but let me know if you see Paul George. If you agree with that, let me know. But if you have somebody else, let me know too, because there's a lot of different guys that he could probably mirror. That's just the guy that I think he resembles the most. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. If you enjoy this kind of content, please like the video. But shout out to Brandon Miller. He's having a pretty damn good rookie year, and it's kind of going under the rug, getting slept on, under the radar, and it deserves a little bit more credit than it's getting. But thanks for watching. I'm done. Peace.